The most HVAC owners think they know what each role costs, but very few look at the fully burdened, costs month by month. When you include things like payroll tax, workers' comp, benefits, some roles are a lot more expensive than you think. And so here I'm going to show you the exact formula to calculate the true average compensation by role. And so what we have is we have the months and then the role and then the average compensation by role by month. And then just a simple heat map. The darker the color, the darker the blue, the higher the number. And so let's get started. We have a data set here, which is just pretty basic payroll data. If you want this file along with my completed solution with the formulas, then there's a link or, to download it, or you can just shoot me an email. But the only thing we have to calculate is going to be the fully loaded cost, which is going to be your gross pay plus FICA, unemployment, workers' comp, benefits. And if you're not following along with my data set and you have your own, then you might have other values as well. And so what we're going to calculate is the sum of this based off of the month and based off of the role. And then we divide that by the number of people in that role for that month. A little bit confusing, but I promise I'll make it easy on you. And so what we need here to calculate the total cost is going to be benefits, workers' comp, unemployment, FICA, and gross pay. And then you can see these numbers here match these numbers here. And gross pay is just going to be, the hours times the base rate here, which this should be $1. The base rate here, and then overtime would be multiplied at a time and a half. And then there's 26 pay periods. So, if there's salary, you take the base of the salary and you divide it by 26 to get that pay period. And then, so the first thing we want to do is we want to get a unique list of the months here. Oh, let me show you how to do that real quick. I've already done it, but what we want is we want the end of the month based on the end of the period. So for example, the EO month function here, period end, not pay date, not period start, period end, comma 0. And that's going to give you the month of, the January 31st. And make sure you put 0. If you do 1, it's going to give you the next month, right? So we want 0. But anyways, I'm going to delete these two because we already have them. Okay, so to get the unique list of the months here, I'm just going to equals unique, and then you can click and highlight the table range. Like you see where X turns green or a light shaded green, we don't want that. We want the range of the table. And because this is in a table, it makes the formula a lot easier to read. Like equals unique list of table labor months. Like perfect. And now for here, what we want is we want a unique list of the job role of this here. And because we're in a table, I don't even really have to go back and forth, right? So equals unique table, and then it's called role, right? So we have this here, but what I want to do now is I want to put this in alphabetical order. So I'm going to sort like that. And then I also want to put it across the row. So we want to do transpose, not translate, transpose, and then close your bracket. And so you can see here, we have it now across the row. Okay, so now we need to figure out what is the total payroll for a customer service rep for January. So any of these rows where the month is, January 31st, 2025, and this row is customer service rep. So the way we do that is with equals a sum if s. So because it's in a table, I don't have to go back. I will go back just to show you the first argument. But we want to sum this, comma, where now you can do month or role. That doesn't matter. But the first argument has to be the dollar amount or whatever the value amount that you're adding. So this, comma, B3 on the other sheet, it's in cell B3. And then the role here, comma, C2. Right, so this is B3 and this is C. This is B3 and this is C2, and that's what this is. I mean, you can see here, right? Okay, so I'll make that a dollar sign, even though we're not done. So now what we have to do is we have to divide this by the number of employees that are customer service reps. And I'm going to do the formula somewhere else just to show it to you, and then I'm going to combine them. But it's a little bit tricky because we can't just count the number of customer service reps because one, some people might not be, some people might be fired, or quit. But also this would be double counting, right? Because what you're getting is there's 2 pay periods per month, right? It's 26 a year, so it's every 2 weeks. So what we have to do is we need to filter. So what we want to filter is we want to filter the table and then the name, not the role, because if we remove duplicates of CSR, we would just get a count of 1 because we would get 10 CSRs. But we want the name because then we can take a unique list of the name. So we want to do that where the table, the role, and here you don't do a comma, you do an equal sign. The role is this, and then multiply times. So shift 8 for the asterisks. And then, and the table labor, and you could do month equals this. And so now we're going to get an error. And the reason is because we need to put this in brackets. It's a little counterintuitive because like the formula's right. It's just these little brackets need to be, the parentheses need to be here. And now you can see we have everybody. But the problem here is that we have duplicates, right? So what we need is we need to do the unique function here. And now we have 2. But we don't want this divided by 2 names. We want it divided by the number 2. So from here, you do the count function, the count A function. And so this is the denominator. So we want this number divided by 2. So I'm going to just highlight this, copy everything after the equal sign, and then here divide by this. And now we have the average cost by, for a CSR rep, fully burdened, fully loaded, the total burden cost. And then now we just want to drag it over and drag it down, but we can't because you can see how this is CSR, but then as we drag it down, it changes. So we need to lock things. So as we drag this down, we do not want this to change. But as we drag this over, we do not want the blue. We want the month to stay the same, right? You can see the blue there versus not, versus it move over. So we just have to sell that. So the way we do that is anywhere you see the column, it's blue here, but it could change for you. Just put a $sign before the column, so before the letter, because letters in Excel are columns. And then anywhere you see the row, put it before the row, so before the number after the letter. And then, so right here, put it in the middle, and then right here, put it before. So you can press Shift 4, or you can cycle through things with the F4 key. And now you still have to copy and paste. You still can't drag it because tables change, like the nature of tables, you can see payroll cost changes to month, and we don't want that. So just copy, and then you can paste. And now you have the cost, by role. And I can make some of these smaller. Okay, so now what we want to do is let's just highlight everything, and then we want to create like a little bit of a heat map. We're not going to do it like this or like this. What we're going to do is we're going to do color scales and then just more rules. And now you can choose your color scale. So the lowest value we could do, you could just pick whatever, but do that and then say, how does that look? Nah, I don't like that much. Let's manage rules. And then let's make this one maybe a darker blue. The problem is sometimes it gets a little bit hard to see some of the numbers. So this isn't bad. So yeah, so there you go. The darker the color, the higher the pay. And so you can see, the owner, maybe they took some distributions, every quarter or something. And then here they didn't want to take a salary. And so, yeah, that's essentially how you calculate this. Pretty straightforward, a little bit of a complex formula. Again, I go fast in these. So if you want, pause the video. But if you want this file to get the formulas, then there's a link to download it, or you can just shoot me an email. So questions at data boards. And again, if you need some help, structuring your data in a usable format, or, just creating these KPIs, you don't have the time, you don't have the bandwidth, you don't have anybody on your team that can help. Maybe they're tied up, or maybe you just don't have a data analyst, or you don't want to pay, a bunch of money to have a full-time in-house person, then you can shoot me an email on that, or there's a link to my calendar. But anyways, that's it for this one, and I will see you in the next video.